Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Upper Tier with your second show today. Earlier, we brought you live coverage of the FA Cup fifth round, and we will keep you updated on Derby versus West Ham. But this is the Monday mashup. We're going to be taking a look back at the weekend's FA Cup action, pulling together or pulling apart the bones of this carcass, with some teams going out, no, namely my own Liverpool. Um, but we'll also be going through some of the news that's come out through football over the last couple of days, and we'll also be definitely discussing transfers because the transfer window looks like it's about to explode and things moving in place. A lot of jigsaw pieces there moving around in this puzzle at the moment. A number of players potentially moving when other players might be available and stuff like that. So we'll cover some of that as well, and we'll talk about that. We're certainly going to be talking about, as you can see down there, Sean Dyche finally appointed Everton manager. Let us know your thoughts in the chat on that one. Can Dyche be the man to save Everton? And it's going to be a feisty Merseyside derby when Dyche and Klopp, who wouldn't be on each other's Christmas card list, get acquainted again, let's say. So that should be interesting. We're also going to be talking about news that broke today. Joao Cancelo to Bayern Munich. What has happened between himself and Pep? Initially, a loan move with a look to sealing a permanent move somewhere in the region of 61 million or something like that. And Weston McKennie to Leeds. Project USA continuing at Leeds. Should be a good move for the boy again, initially a loan with a view to a permanent move. We're going to be talking about Eric Ten Hag heaping his praise on one Casemiro, and rightly so. The man has ultimately transformed Man United and their fortunes, and what a job he's doing in there. And we're going to be talking about Mikel Arteta's FA Cup decision to play a slightly weakened side with a number of changes. Was that the right decision? Let us know in the chat, Gunners, what you thought about that. Should be an interesting one to talk about. We're definitely going to be talking about Liverpool's exit from the FA Cup and some of the stuff that came out there. And one for my good friend in the chat, Morris, Shelby to Forest. Let me know your thoughts. Should be interesting. Yeah, absolutely. Let's take some of the comments first before we get into it. Morris, of course, always here. Absolutely go over and check out Cheapy Productions podcast. Doing a phenomenal job over there, putting out content to beat the band and daily dropping shorts now as well. Delighted for Sean, good manager. Delighted for him, but do you think he will do the job? Is he capable of keeping Everton up? That's the question. And Morris in the comments again, of course. Leeds sign an American. Very surprised at that one. Not really. I wouldn't have thought so. No surprise at all. Linking back up with his international teammates. So a good move for the boy. Certainly a very good move for Leeds. I think I spoke about it last Thursday with Dazzler on Thursday Tier Talk, where we said if he was going to make a move, Weston McKennie, that Leeds would be perfect suitors for him. Morris thinks, yeah, Dyche will keep them up. Interesting. Interesting. Let us know your thoughts in the chat. What do you think? Is Sean Dyche the man for the Everton job? And will he be capable of keeping them up? Also, we're going to be talking. We need to talk about the refereeing yesterday in the Brighton game. We need to talk about that nasty tackle from Fabinho on Evan Ferguson, who's having an outstanding season at Brighton now, doing really, really well, was on form and stuff like that, but looks like he's in trouble with an injury now, left the ground on crutches and stuff like that. Horrible tackle by Fabinho. He knew it himself. He was shell-shocked himself, boy, on the straw and kind of nearly wanted to leave the pitch himself. Stupid tackle. And also we talk about the Canate one. So should Liverpool yesterday have received 2 red cards? Let us know your thoughts on that as well. Certainly the Fabinho one for me is a nailed on red. Eno's joining us tonight as well. How are you, Eno? What's the crack? Good to have you in the chat, my friend. Going to be here for about the next hour or so, talking all things football, FA Cup. And again, whatever you in the chat want to talk about, if you've something in there you want to throw at me, you want to get my reaction to it or my thoughts on it, throw it in there. Remember, it's as much your show as it is ours. We just put the bones in there. You guys can supply the flesh. So let's start with this FA Cup review. And we start off with Leeds. Before I get into this, Morris back in. Shelby. Shelby to Forest may not be the best move for him. He should be looking up the table, not down. Mm, he can't look up much further than Newcastle, can he? Though I think Newcastle are in third, aren't he? He's not gonna. I doubt he's gonna go to Hughes, and he's not gonna go to City. So I don't know whether that's the case or not. I don't think I'd be looking from Newcastle all the way down to Forest, though. No, absolutely not. But you're the job Cooper's down there, and sure, maybe they're looking for a quarterback or a running back or something like that with their 50 signings, good NFL squad or something. But we shall say, let's know. Accrington and Stanley versus Leeds. Leeds running out 3-1 winners. Um, Made reasonable work of this. Wasn't too difficult for them. Leeds starting to show a little bit of form, scoring goals. Bamford being back for them, of course, is huge. He's a big player for them. And when he's on form, Leeds generally play a good brand of football. Fulham won, Sunderland nil. This was an interesting one. Sunderland absolutely playing scintillating football at the moment. Really, really good football. And I think we called it in the preview as well that this could be a tight game. I expected Fulham to run out winners, but the absence of Mitrovic there initially, and Darren actually called a shout out to Dazzler. He actually called it that Mitrovic wouldn't be playing. I thought he would definitely play him. I thought Fulham would like to look at this from some silverware, but it is going to go to a replay, and it was 1-1. I'm not sure whether Fulham will fancy an L dirty wet night up there in Sunderland under the lights. So we'll see how that goes. Brighton 2, Liverpool 1. A result that really disappointed me. And hats off to Brighton. But not a result that surprised me. And the funny thing about it, and I said it yesterday, if you've checked out the match reaction on the player ratings, is Brighton weren't even that good yesterday. And they still found a way to beat us. And we were at times okay and in control of the game, but really, really poor then in-game management and stuff like that. Stefan Bajcetic in midfield there, getting booked early on and had to carry that yellow card, was in control, did really, really well. The tackle was a foolish one, and really experience will teach you not to go in there and get those early bookings as a midfielder in an aggressive type of way. But I couldn't understand taking him off after 84 minutes. I mean, if you had managed this game all the way through 84 minutes, why take him off and bring Fabinho on for the last 6 minutes? Fabinho comes on, the first thing he does is give the ball away. And then he goes in with that nasty tackle on Evan Ferguson, which totally warranted, in my eyes, a red card. And on another day, it should have been a red card. It should have been reviewed and should have been given a red card. And I'm saying that as a Liverpool fan. But Matoma cropping up with the winner, 90 plus 2 minutes, selling Joe Gomez down the river again. You would have thought Joe would have learned from Danny Welbeck. But this was a fantastic goal if you look at it, his control. But the worrying thing is that the amount of time he had to take these touches and stuff like that was really, really worrying from a Liverpool point of view. We crash out of the FA Cup. We're going to talk a little bit later in the news about the comments from Andy Robinson post-match interview, and also Klopp as well. And it's worrying times at the moment for Liverpool, and not only in terms of the squad and the players and the results and the lack of confidence. But even it's probably time to be starting having a conversation now, even about the gaffer, and Liverpool fans won't want to hear that. But that's the reality of the situation at the moment. Really, really poor, and a poor result again. Man City 1, Arsenal 0. Nathan Ake with the goal, took it lovely. So it kind of rolled into the net nearly like it was in slow motion when you go back and look at it. But Gunners fans would have been disappointed in that. They probably would have been disappointed that Mikel Arteta, probably didn't play a stronger side and give the respect to the FA Cup that it's due. Obviously, Arsenal steeped in history in the FA Cup and stuff like that, to the point where, if you don't win the FA Cup, you can't really do a double, can you? The double that we know of, that the history is there from. And I love being involved in the FA Cup. I don't care about fixture congestion and stuff like that. It's up to teams to have squads to deal with that type of thing. And look at us, look at the dilemma that we're in at the moment. But I would have loved, and if you've seen my coverage earlier of the 5th round draw, I would have loved to be in that 5th round draw. I'm absolutely sick. And I think Brighton drew Stoke away or something like that. I would have really liked to, go to that. Probably Crouchy would have been on commentary and stuff like that, or he'd be in the box giving analysis and stuff like that. And now we're not involved. The other cup that we had won last year, on the precipice of a quadruple, and now we've coughed up our 2 trophies already. And it's only January, so a little bit sick, all right, about that. But yeah, Arsenal will probably be disappointed that they're out of the FA Cup, but they have bigger battles ahead and stuff like that. And I'm sure he'll have those boys chomped up at the bit for the 2 Man City games and stuff like that. But yeah, an absolute sickener for them being out as well. So Arsenal and Liverpool going out, both teams steeped in FA Cup history. Walsall 0, Leicester 1. Leicester making tough work of it, but got through. Derby County, as you know, is playing at the moment against Man City. I'll just get you an update on that now. I have it here. Currently, it's 2-0. The goals coming on 10 minutes. Jared Bowen back in form again with Thomas Souček with the assist and Mikel Antonio with the second on 50 minutes. So West Ham at the moment are 2-0 up with just 70 minutes gone. Looks like they're cruising into the 5th round of the FA Cup, where they will book a little trip to Old Trafford against Man United. And that should be interesting. Moyes heading back to Man United and stuff like that as well. He'll have the West Ham boys well up for it. That'll be a real good game. As I said earlier in the show, we were talking about looking for kind of tasty fixtures within this 5th round FA Cup. So Man United versus West Ham will be real tasty. Man United 3, Reading 1. This was a real interesting one insofar as Reading were doing absolutely brilliant right up till half-time and very unlucky not to win on half-time. They had a great chance, if you remember. But then United came out to excuse the pun, all guns blazing, and they absolutely put Reading to the sword. Casemiro, what a player he is, that man. And like, unbelievable when you think of what they brought him in, that steely effect there in that midfield and stuff like that, but chipping in sensationally with some sensational goals. What a difference he has made to Man United. It's amazing when you bring in a key player like that who operates at a different level of performance and the way he can drag players up with him and stuff like that. Not dissimilar to Jesus, who went into Arsenal there, and how he lifted the work rate of that Arsenal team to match his own work rate and stuff like that. But Casemiro doing an outstanding job, and no surprise at all, Eric Ten Hag absolutely praising him to the hilt. Sensational player and really making a huge difference at Man United. Southampton 2, Blackpool 1. Blackpool with chances at the end here to bring it to a replay, but just kind of ran out of time. But they were on the up. But Southampton got through and stuff like that. Would have been a tasty one to drag Southampton over to Blackpool for an away trip and stuff like that. Who knows? Blackpool at home with that great fan base and stuff like that. But unlucky, so the Saints went through. And Preston North End 0, Tottenham 3. Son back at it. Probably needed this for his confidence. But played really, really well. And Spurs got through 3-0 and we're in the 5th round of the FA Cup. That's your kind of review of the FA Cup. Some real interesting talking points came out of it. Not everything positive, especially in our own game. And I'm sure Arsenal fans are in the chat here. They're going to be disappointed in. So we'll see. Let's go back to the chat for a minute before we get into some of the news and the transfers that are going on. And let's begin with Ian's back in. Morris on the chat here. Good man yourself. Get in there. Morris is always here, my man. All right. Morris is my right-hand man on the chat in here. Del Boy Gunner TV in the house. Go check out Del's channel. Had plenty to say about the FA Cup there the other day. Big up, Del. How was Galway, my man? Did they lock up their daughters? Let me know. Are the girls locked up? Let me know if you had a good weekend. And Ian's back in the comments again. All good, Niall. Watching the podcast on the flat screen. I like to hear that. See myself on the big screen in people's sitting rooms. Love that. Love it. And Warren's in. Check out Warren's Team Talk. Does a fantastic show on a Saturday. I'm always in the chat on it. I always try and make a little bit of time to go in there and stuff like that. Great community he has going on there. Some classic guys in there dropping jokes. The banter just be brilliant. I'm all good, man. Thanks for asking. And keep up that good Saturday work. There was fireworks at the weekend there. Warren, all I can say is it's just as well you weren't doing a show on the Sunday, because I would have been livid. Why is Liverpool's form so up and down? Liverpool's form, Warren, is not up and down. Liverpool's form, Warren, is down and down. It's not up and down. We're just fooling ourselves at the moment, and we're grasping at straws here, trying to find the positivity in something that's absolutely toxic and riddled. We are in serious trouble at the moment. And I'm not scared to say this, I am fearing at the moment, a lot of talk coming out at the moment about the gaffer. And that would be a sad day for us considering what he achieved. But, you know, Some people will often say, some managers have been sacked for less. So let's say I'm not calling for his head on Klopp in. Love Jurgen Klopp. Love what he did for the club and how he brought us on. But serious questions being asked at the moment, and not necessarily stuff that you fling at FSG, because FSG don't sub on Fabinho yesterday. FSG don't sub on Curtis Jones for Thiago and various things like that. That's not FSG. That lands at the door of the gaffer, and he's been found out a couple of times this season in terms of his in-game management, and it has cost us points. So we can't deny that, and we can't avoid it. Ian, shout out to Daz. Where are you, my good man? Tell you again, Ian, he's never here on the Monday. The Monday, the man is working. He's out there earning a crust for his family. Warren, I am disgusted with the team selection for the Man City game. Yeah, it was a weird one. And funny enough, you played okay against them. You did well against them and stuff like that. But it just, you have to go out there when you're playing them and take whatever edge you can. And I know people were saying, yeah, but, we have to be careful and all this kind of thing. But you don't have to be careful. When you go and you play against Man City, you have to lay down a marker. And that marker has to be laid down each and every single time. You've got 2 big games coming up against them, which will absolutely, could potentially dictate where the title goes. And I think you really have to show them, what you're about and stuff like that. And in some respects, in some parts of that game, you did. But I think eventually they just wore you down and it got a bit too much. And I think he probably made too many changes. And I would have thought this was one that he would have liked, because you're in a title race and there's no guarantee of winning the title. If you don't win the title, even though you're in a title race, are those the games that you look back on and say, well, if we hadn't knocked them out of the cup, we could still have a trophy. We could still have a day in Wembley and stuff like that. And days in Wembley are sensational. You know what I mean? I don't care what anyone says about the domestic trophies. Days out in Wembley are sensational. And listen, Arsenal fans, you guys know, we know. So, there's no denying it and stuff like that. You should never, I firmly believe you should always play your strongest 11 if it's available. Always play it. Never roll the dice like that and disrespect both the opponent and the tournament that you're in. And that would be my view. Ian's back in the comments. Warren, how you doing, fella? He's doing all good, Del Boy, I'm gutted we're out. Absolutely. 100%. But I mean, some of the players, in fairness, Del, some of the players did play well. They did do decent, but just I think Man City, in the end, with the amount of changes that you made, just had too much. And Ian was back in the comments. I'm hoping to drop over to the shop tomorrow, bro. Yeah, that'd be great. Great to see you and drop in. Yeah, and we have a chat and stuff like that. All the good stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get into talking about the news. Where do we begin? I think I'm going to begin with Liverpool because I just want to get it out of the way. I know most people who would have seen my match reaction and player ratings would know how I felt about it. I was disappointed. I was devastated. I was kind of like, but just the whole approach bugged me. You know what I mean? Like 20 minutes to go and, commentators saying, oh, Liverpool will probably be happy here with a replay and stuff like that. It just absolutely grinds my gears to hear that kind of rubbish and stuff like that. You know what I mean? What the hell would we want with a replay? And what's the guarantee even if Brighton come to Anfield and it's a replay? You know what I mean? Absolutely ridiculous. But there was a key thing yesterday after the match. Klopp, of course, is just hot and cold, and he's just, I think he's whirling around sometimes in his own nonsense and stuff like that. A couple of things stuck out to me here, right? Andrew Robinson says Liverpool let their fans down in the FA Cup loss to Brighton, but Jurgen Klopp vows they won't fall apart despite struggles. Now, I would say as a Liverpool fan, we've already fallen apart. And that's just the truth of it. And if you listen to Andy Robinson yesterday after the game, Andy Robinson turned around and said, we were expecting a bounce after the World Cup and in the new year to get better, to kick on like we've done in the past, try and kick on, get back into that top 4 race and stuff like that. And he said, plain and straight, he said, we've gotten worse. So Klopp was asked about this at the post-match press conference. And Klopp made the point, he said that I think he was taken aback at first and he was shocked at what Robbo had said. Robbo being captain yesterday, so I presume that's why Robbo was doing the post-match the post-match interview. And when he said that, Klopp turned around and he says, well, that's not entirely true, kind of, he says, but some of it is. You know what I mean? And it's just, then we're getting word out that we're not doing any more business. Our January transfer window was shut down. So essentially what we did was we have a whole laundry list of injuries. We have a midfield that's struggling. We brought in Cody Gakpo, practically, it kind of happened nearly 3 days before the window, actually, and was confirmed during the window. And we've done no other business. We haven't looked to bring in any loans. We haven't looked to bring in any signings. I think someone did a list the other day, one of the content creators out there. There's 20 midfielders out there you could bring in at the moment. At least 20 that will single-handedly improve Liverpool's midfield straight away. Onani is one of them who went the other day, I think, for 8.3 million. 8.3 million. The Moroccan lad who had a great World Cup. How are we not in that conversation? And I looked at another stat there the other day, and Arsenal fans, you'll be interested in this. In the last 18 months, so say the whole of last season and whatever we've played this season, so a season and a half, we've played, I think, 22 more games than Arsenal. And our average age of our squad is 28. And I think our Arsenal's squad, I think, is, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, lads, is it 23 or 24 or something like that? I think you have the youngest average age squad now in the league and stuff like that. I think that's right anyway. I'm nearly sure that's what I was looking at. And I couldn't believe it. And then we wonder why these players are running out of steam. And, you know, they're being tossed around into different formations. They're being asked to play in different positions. Cody Gakpo doesn't play up the centre. He's been made play up the centre. Darwin Núñez only came on yesterday as a sub out on the left. And having said that, some of his best performances in Liverpool have been out on the left. But, like, what are we going to do with all these players when, like, I mean, obviously Luis Diaz probably has the left side tied down when he comes back. So what are we going to do with all these left-sided players? And begs the question, why would we be bringing in Cody Gakpo when we should be bringing in midfielders and we should be strengthening our midfield? The only reason I was happy about Cody Gakpo coming in at the start of the transfer window was the view was that maybe one or two midfielders would come in, maybe a signing and maybe a loan move. Now we're 24 hours out from deadline day. Nothing has happened. And apparently our window is shut down. We're going to be in bed nice and early tomorrow night. But I won't be in bed nice and early because, like any good content creator, I'm going to be here tomorrow night counting down deadline day. And we are going to be chatting about all the signings that the Premier League sides have done, how those signings fit in with each of their teams, and should they have done more business. And we will be talking about City. We will certainly be talking about Arsenal. And we will be talking about all those other top teams, the signings that they've done. And boy, Jesus, we will be talking about Liverpool. No doubt about it. Back into the comments. Warren, we don't have a game between the Man City game and Everton game for 8 days. So why is Mikel changing the team? It makes no sense to me. And then finding out that Mikel wants to sell KT, I am fuming. Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting one. But I think, I don't know, maybe it's, I wonder, is it just Mikel that's driving that, or is KT not happy himself? Because it looks like, from what we can see, that it looks like he's going to be potentially a bit part player to Zinchenko. And I would argue rightly so. And I don't think any people here in the chat would start KT over Zinchenko unless they're off their head anyway. Warren back in the comments here as well. The average age of our team is 3.5. Oh God, classic Warren. Love it. And Henry's in. Henry Ray Baker channel. Check out Henry's channel as well. Yo, Henry, how are you, my man? Hope you're all good and keeping well. So now that I got all my Liverpool off my chest now, thank you very much. It was like a sort of a 3-minute there Liverpool therapy session that was badly needed, trust me. At times at the moment, this is why I do these post-match reactions and player ratings and all, because it's like therapy to me at times, you know. But yeah, we have to talk. I mean, obviously Brighton's Evan Ferguson, it was a horrific challenge yesterday by Fabinho. To me, it's a straight red. Wouldn't have been shocked at all, wouldn't have challenged it in any way. It was a horrible tackle. He knew it was a horrible tackle. And the boy left on crutches. And I'm a Liverpool fan, but also Ireland. And I just think it's a little bit, it's sad on the lad who was doing really, really well. And I just hope, I haven't seen the latest update today, so I don't know if scans or anything happened. If anyone in the chat knows anything about Evan Ferguson or the latest update, I hope the boy is doing real well. I hope he's okay. He's going to be all right. Henry back in the comments. I think it's a blessing in disguise now we are out of the cups and probably going to exit the Champions League. I don't know whether it's a blessing in disguise, because I think in order to try and rediscover your confidence and rediscover your form, you probably need games. You know what I mean? And Brighton today drew Stoke. So if we had beaten Brighton, no disrespect to Stoke, we could have went to Stoke. That would be an opportunity to gain a little bit of confidence. Not an easy place to go, but it would have been another match there for players to gain a bit of confidence. So I don't think that's what I want. I have 56 subs, which is so good. Yeah, lads, get over there and sub Henry's channel, will you? Give him a sub there. Look after him and stuff like that. But great to see. Glad it's grown for you. And shout out to my friend Peter Nolan. Join the banter and subscribe to the Upper Tier podcast. Join the crack fella. Shout out to Peter Nolan. How are you, Peter? If you can join us, we'd be happy to have you on board in this little community here that we're building of the Upper Tier. Only Upper Tier by name, but not in nature. The only reason we're the Upper Tier is because they're the only football tickets we can afford. Henry back in. I have a stream tomorrow's at 9 p.m. talking about alcoholism. Interesting. We might just have to tune into that one. Certainly, yeah. Drop us a link, and what we'll do is we'll share it out there for you and stuff like that as well, Henry. Brilliant. And Warren is back in. I will start KT ahead of Zinchenko. I think he and Andy Robinson are the two best left backs in the world. Really? That's a huge call. That's a massive call. Gunners fans, if you're in the chat there, what do you think of Warren's comment there? He would start KT ahead of Zinchenko. I think he and Andy Robinson are the two best left backs in the world. I don't know. I'm not too sure whether I agree. Robbo at the moment is struggling big time. His form is kind of in and out and stuff like that. But look, it's symptomatic of the team at the moment, isn't it? The team is all over the place. But we shall see. No problem, Henry. Blast that over to me there, and I'll put that out there for you and stuff like that. We get a few people watching and get you a few subs. Not a bother, my friend. And Warren's back in again. Evan Ferguson started out with Del Boy St. Kevin's. Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And what a rise, what a meteoric rise for the lad as well, who was doing so well. And isn't this often the case? Sickening as it was my own team and my own team player and stuff like that. But it's often the case when you have a lad in there doing well. Similar to Tierney, Warren. Tierney was doing great at Arsenal, and then he got injured as well. Now, I know he was kind of a little bit injury prone, stuff like that, but he got that bad injury that took him out, and he struggled recently to find his form since then and stuff like that and all. It's a shame. I hope Evan Ferguson is doing real well. Ted's in the comments here as well. Poker Gambit. Go check out Ted's channel as well. Retrotainment out there on YouTube, where they're looking at classic movies and stuff like that. And they do recasts on them and all that kind of thing. Absolutely check that out. And don't forget to check out my brother on Dynamo's Dozen, Ian Kelly. He does the Chelsea Roar, big Chelsea fan. He does the Chelsea Roar. He has the channel out there. And check us out as well. Dynamo's Dozen. We're always producing content now on a weekly basis where we preview and review pro wrestling, which is our other love apart from football. Now, let me talk. We spoke about Casemiro. We spoke about Liverpool's business being done in January, which boggles my mind. We're going to talk about Everton now. We're going to switch it up to the other side of Merseyside. Everton in an absolute mess, in disarray, in a relegation battle, but they've confirmed they've brought in Sean Dyche as their manager. Chat, let me know what you think about this. What do you think about Sean Dyche's appointment at Everton? Has he got the tools there? Has he got the coaching nous to get Everton out of this predicament that they're in? And avoid relegation? He signed on a 2.5-year deal as far as I know. And what did you make of the boy Anthony Gordon? And the two statements that came out were very interesting. He went to Newcastle there, and I think the deal was slightly above 40 million or something like that. They were touting this boy last summer at 70 million, which was absolutely ridiculous. And when you think about it, the boy has made, let this sink in, at Newcastle at the moment have just paid 40 plus million for him. I don't know what the terms are, if it's over one of these 400-year contracts, these new things for FFP or whatever it is, I'm not too sure. But Anthony Gordon has made 78 appearances for Everton and scored 7 goals. Is that a 45 million pound player? That is the question. These days, maybe it is with the inflation in the market and stuff like that. Just to give you an update on the FA Cup, 89 minutes gone. We're in the 90th minute now. Still 2-0 to the Hammers. Look like they're going to be meeting Man United in the next round. Moisey going back to the battleground again. So let's see how that goes. That's going to be a fantastic match. That's probably the pick of the toys, actually, now when I think about it. Man United, West Ham, that's going to be a cracking FA Cup toy. Ted reckons Everton needed to get in Big Sam. I don't know, but that whole mystique of Big Sam. What do you think about that, Big Sam? I mean, I actually met Big Sam one time. We were walking down around at the bottom of Grafton Street, around where you go around by Trinity, if you're heading down into Dublin City. And Big Sam was walking up. He 2 boys with him as well. Big Sam is a monster of a man. They don't call him Big Sam for nothing. That lad, if he had went back in his heyday, he probably could have been a WWE wrestler. He's an absolute monster. But I think that whole mystique of Big Sam and teams escaping and stuff like that, and I think the fact that he had a stint there as well, I'm not too sure whether he would have been the fit. Henry back in. Luke Chambers has gone out on loan for the rest of the season from our academy. Yeah. And Warren is back in. If Sean Dyche can't keep the toffees up, no one will. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Interesting one, all right. Very, very interesting. Can't wait for that Merseyside derby. Should be interesting. I hope him and Klopp box the head off each other at the sideline. It'll be quality. Sean Dyche is quality. But is he quality enough, Warren? Is he quality enough? Is he quality enough? That's the question. And Warren back in again. Just wondering if you would take Sean Dyche for the Ireland job. I know what Morris's answer is going to be. Morris will take Sean Dyche in a second for the Ireland job. The FAI, Warren, wouldn't be able to afford Sean Dyche. I believe Sean Dyche is somewhere in the region of 5 million. The last time the FAI were spending that type of money, it was stupid projects that didn't come to much, or when we were actually doing bits in European and world football. So I can't see that happening. Ted goes, he wouldn't touch him for it. Tell me why, Ted. Tell me why. Tell me why I don't like Mondays. Ask Dave LFC chats on that score, Warren. Dave LFC chat, shout out to Dave as well. Great channel there and stuff. That myself and Dave to be going back and forth and stuff, comments and all that kind of thing. We are seriously worried at the moment about the plight of Liverpool Football Club, but we're hoping and we believe that the gaffer that we have might be able to get us out of it. But the talk coming out at the moment, or the impression coming out at the moment, is that it's just all over the place. But shout out, check out Dave's LFC chats, quality channel there, doing Liverpool content on a daily basis. Right, let's change it up. Let's talk transfers, because it is transfer window time. It is deadline day is fastly approaching. We're literally only nearly a day out from it now, from the end of the deadline. 11 o'clock tomorrow night. We will be live from probably about 10ish, and we will count down the final hour of deadline day. Maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. It's up there on the channel. Hit the notification, hit the bell button, hit the subscribe, and of course like on all the videos. But yeah, we'll be counting down deadline day, and we'll be going through all the signings from the Premier League, who signed what, and whether it was what they needed, how do they fit in, and what does it mean for the last 4 months, say, of the season, how that's going to work. And certainly we'll be looking at the likes of Arsenal, Man City, all the big players as well. But we'll look further down and see the bits that other teams are doing as well. Warren, I will ask Dave. Yeah, absolutely. Ted back in. As a country squad, we just don't have a great lineup, so always going to struggle to win. So if I'm going to watch it, at least I want to watch us play a decent brand of ball since we don't win anyway. That's a very good point. That is a very good point. Just to let you know, FA Cup match has ended 2-0 to West Ham. Moyes is on his way to Old Trafford for the fifth round of the FA Cup. That's what I'm really going to look forward to. I'm sure the boys in the chat there, Ted and the boys, Man United fans, they will have a comment on that. West Ham next round of the FA Cup, fifth round. But that's a great point, Ted. Yeah, absolutely. And we do have some nice young footballers coming through there and stuff like that. No least Evan Ferguson, of course, who would have been excellent to have for the March games. Hopefully he's all right for them. But yeah, I think with Moyes, I think with Deutsch, yeah, I think that would be a bit of a detriment to that kind of situation. But yeah, good point, good point. Ian back in the comments. Ian Machine Gun Kelly, good man yourself. Dynamos doesn't, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely. Morris, I knew you'd be here. Football's about results. Kenny hasn't been playing good ball. No, but he hasn't. Would it be fair to say, Morris, and that's true, he hasn't set up really to play it either. And I don't know whether Deutsch would do that either. So I don't know. Maybe we're looking for more of a sort of a younger, progressive kind of manager who wants to play good attacking football. But I suppose the problem with international football as well is you have such a short space of time to work with players and stuff like that. It's so difficult. Like if you think about it, a lot of our players are kind of spread across these leagues and stuff like that. Whereas if you look at the English team and stuff like that, they're literally playing against each other week on week in the Prem and stuff like that. So it's easier to kind of mesh it together. When you bring that Ireland team there, you've got championship level, you've got maybe a splatter from the Premier League and stuff like that, and you're trying to mesh it all together and it's different levels, all that kind of thing. Yeah, that's a good shout. That's a good shout, Morris. We need Potter in there, not not the Dunfermline sex pest. Jesus. Don't hold back, Morris. Do not hold back. This is the show for you. Um Robert De Serbi came out confirming that Brighton are ready to sell Concedo to Arsenal. But we're hearing that Arsenal, I think, went in today. Did they lodge another 70 million bid today? And that got knocked back as well. But the statement from the boy was an interesting one the other day, wasn't it? When you listen to Concedo talking about, how he had 10 siblings back in Ecuador or something like that. And this would be a dream meal for him. Obviously, the money would set him up. He came in. Brighton would make huge money on the deal. I think they paid, was it 4.5 million or something like that, or 3.5 million for him or something at the start of the season. And he came in and it's his dream to play for a big club. And look, if you have a chance to move to a club that's in a title race and there or thereabouts, top of the league and stuff like that, how can you refuse that? You can't refuse that. But obviously, it would leave Brighton quite short. Although it didn't leave them too short yesterday when they played us, even though Concedo wasn't playing and Trossard was going to Arsenal. Just put that out there, Liverpool fans. Killing me inside it is killing me. So, but it's an interesting one saying he's ready to sell him, but it looks like maybe they're trying to squeeze the last bit of juice out of that deal. And we're hearing that Chelsea are still niggling around it as well. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes. Henry comes in. There's no way in team. Absolutely. First of all, football is about playing as a team and working hard at your positions and grafting to grind out results and together to get maybe titles and trophies. Yeah, there's no way in team. Spot on, Henry. Yeah, absolutely. And Morris, exactly, Henry. Yeah, absolutely. We spoke about Nottingham Forest and John Joe Shelby on the way to Forest. Morris gave us his thoughts on that. He thinks it's too far to drop down. I tend to agree with that and stuff like that. I wonder how Shelby would have done maybe at Villa or something like that, Maybe that might have been an interesting one for him. We spoke about English winger Gordon moving to Newcastle from Everton on a long-term deal. We spoke about his stats, 40 plus million, I think they paid for him over whatever time frame. But the statements coming out, the Everton statement, I think, was, did they say 64 words or something like that? It was just quite blunt, and it was like, it was kind of, you got the feeling from it, it was kind of like, you buggered off when we needed you kind of thing, But I wonder how much of that money is Deutsch going to see, and what can he do in the next 48 hours, or can he do what I had Everton out and planned? Certainly he would need players in there. in order to, get them going and stuff like that. So we'll see, or will they sit on it? Did they need the money in? We know that they're sort of a little bit hamstrung in terms of FFP at the moment and what they can do, but surely they might be able to get in a loan or two or something like that. I presume Deutsch has been working on stuff over the weekend, even though we only got the communication today confirming the managerial appointment. But I think it was done from last Thursday or Friday anyway, because I think they had spoken to Bielsa and his representatives, and I think that was somewhere around 11 million, and Deutsch I think is about 5 or 5.5 million. So money talks there more than anything. So it was a no-brainer. But let me know your thoughts on Gordon. His own statement was quite small as well, just kind of wishing Everton all the best and stuff like that. And I think he had something in there about Everton needs to stick together. And I was kind of thinking, you just buggered off to Newcastle and you want Everton to stick together. So it was a little bit slidey, I think, more than anything. Ted back in. Milan have made another offer to United for Maguire. Every time Had would want to offer to pay for the plane to get the lad over there. Yeah, the only problem about that, Ted, is yourself the minute you release one, because I know. Did I hear about Victor Lindelof as well? Victor Lindelof, because of oh, that's what it is. No, it's Inter Milan. Yeah, sorry, Milan. You're right. Milan are looking actually at Victor Lindelof. That's the talk, because Skriniar's on his way to PSG, or has gone to PSG. So they're looking at Victor Lindelof at the moment, but Eric Ten Hag doesn't want to get rid of him, as he obviously values him more than Maguire. I couldn't see Maguire over there playing in the Italian league. I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see him wanting to do it either. Morris, Anthony Gordon's agent take a bow. Absolutely take a bow, but 70 million was crazy last summer for the boy. 45 million to me is even way overpriced. I don't know. I mean, if anyone's going to get the best out of Eddie Howe's going to get the best out of him anyway. That's for sure. Ted back in the comments. Everything kind of did Gordon dirty with that statement. They talk about him leaving them, but look at the abuse the fans were giving him before that. Sure, why would he stay? Yeah, well, I think the fans have been dishing out the abuse at a high level and at every level at Everton. You know what I mean? So, but not all of them left. But obviously, he was the one that carried a key value there. And I suppose what they probably did was they looked at it and they probably said, "Well, look, 78 appearances and 7 goals. He's not exactly setting the world alight." Now, at times you've seen the boy play, and we know that there's a player in there, but he hadn't set the world alight at Everton by any shape, form, or fashion. And I said they probably looked at it and go, we better take this money now, because if we wait till the summer, it won't be around. And especially if they get relegated and stuff like that, there might be clauses and other stuff that they're dealing with. So they cashed in on the boy as well. And I think the move, the timing is everything and stuff like that, with Lampard and all going as well, isn't it? So it just kind of heaps more on it. He's better than United's Anthony, I guess. Yeah, the kind of he's come in at times and he's done pretty well, but I think the jury is still out on Anthony as well, and especially with carrying that valuation. And I know we talk about players' valuations at the time and the money that's spent and all that kind of thing, and you look at Anthony and stuff like that, and it's some of the fans are kind of going in a little bit on it and questioning it and stuff like that. It's probably very early days yet. Still a big project going on there and stuff. But then you see they go in hard on Darwin Núñez, and you look at Darwin Núñez, and although he's had some howlers where he has missed some absolute sitters, his stats trying to fit into a side that's really low in confidence and stuff like that. He's had an injury or two. He got banned for the 3 games there right at the start when he was just coming in and stuff like that. His stats aren't too bad considering where he is at the moment and considering the level of confidence in the team that's there. But it highlights it more because he has missed some gilt-edged chances. I can think of probably 5 more goals at least that Darwin Núñez should have, minimum. But look, when you miss howlers like that, that's why they come up. Look at Mo Salah yesterday, 1-on-1, missed that absolute sitter as well, dragged it wide. So that just tells you where the confidence of the team is at. Henry's back. I wonder when FFP are going to knock on Stamford Bridge with 17 new players and no sales yet. They're probably not, Henry, because he's probably within FFP, because he's done this very clever trick in terms of contracts going out 7, 8, 9 years, whatever it is. And I'd imagine the Enzo Fernandez one is an interesting one because he's probably going to have to pony up a reasonable chunk there because Benfica kind of want their money. They don't want this long-term payment strategy or whatever it is. They kind of want their money. And we seen it with Nunes as well, where they held out. They wanted the wedge. But then I wonder, is that what the talk is coming out at the moment? This talk, we've been linked with N'Golo Kante on a free. The boy Conor Gallagher has been linked with a move away as well. I think are they talking Everton, I think, or something like that, and they're talking 40 million or something like that. I'm not too sure, or something like that. So maybe he's looking at fraying out, putting out a few players there to kind of balance the books because he might have to pony up on a shorter contract more money to get Enzo Fernandez over the line. But I know they're working hard on it at the moment, and they have submitted a final bid there. Is it 106.5 million or something, or 105.5 million, whatever the release clause is. Anyway, they've submitted that and they're looking to get it over the line, so that should be interesting. Players revolt at the empty head. Yeah, that's an interesting one as well. João Cancelo, obviously on his way to Bayern Munich, apparently in a loan deal with a view of a permanent move in the summer. Talking somewhere in the region of 61.5 million for the boy. No doubt him, an absolute fabulous player. I think there's been a problem there with Pep, where they've had a bit of a falling out. His form has been a little bit indecent. He's also been picking up bookings and stuff like that. He's been a little bit reckless, and having to get subbed and stuff like that, and not always in the starting lineup. And I think maybe his time has come there. But a fabulous player. Sad to see a player of that quality leave the Premier League. Really, really good. And he will absolutely tear it up in Germany with Bayern Munich. There's no doubt about it. Watch out for that boy if you're checking out German football over the next 4 months. If it happens, it's going to be unbelievable. Shout out to Tommy Reid, Darren and Stephen Kearney, Sean Bradshaw, Thomas Reid and Stephen Hogan. What a name. Great name, Stephen. Appreciate that. Yeah, but shout out to all those boys. Tommy Reid, Darren and Stephen Kearney, Sean Bradshaw, Thomas Reid and Stephen Hogan. Shout out to all you boys. Subscribe to the channel, like on the video, and hit the bell notification button so you know we're going to go live on impromptu shows like the FA Cup draw one today. Also, check out Warren's channel as well. Warren covered the draw today as well. So always good to share the love. Even if you're going in there on the replay to look at it, make sure you hit the like button. Really important, whether you're watching live or on the replay. Ted back in. I think the issue with Nunes is more his confidence, because I watched the game a couple of weeks ago and he should have bagged a hat-trick at least with the amount of chances he missed. Absolutely. Confidence thing. And I don't think the confidence thing is necessarily just him. I don't mean, when I mean just him, I mean there's a confidence issue running through the whole team at the moment, and his own confidence issue in trying to establish himself in the Premier League with a big move and stuff like that is even heightened, because obviously the pressure is on him to perform even greater in trying to get the team through this really poor patch that we're on at the moment. So yeah, absolutely, Ted, spot on. Warren back in. Niall, do you think Jurgen will walk if he doesn't get the club to invest in the summer? Because from the outside looking in, they definitely need, especially in the midfield. If they don't follow through on their promises this summer, Warren, and the big fear for me is they will use potentially no Champions League football as an excuse to back off the amount. But they're talking about a war chest there now. They were saying 250 million, a quarter of a billion. I don't know whether that's pending getting investment in, either through partial sale, shareholding, investment, whatever way they want to dress that up, if that's going to lead to it. But I'm looking at the transfer window now, and I'm looking at transfer costs at the moment. And I'm looking at the situation at Liverpool and how many players there kind of need to move on or finish up. And the amount of players that we need in, and the fact that we've stagnated over the last 4 or 5 transfer windows. We really haven't done the business that we should have to refresh the squad, create competition and all those kind of things. And I think at the moment they're talking about, I read the headline the other day, 250 million of a war chest for Klopp in the summer. 250 million. FSG or whoever's going to invest need to wake up very quickly. 250 million is no longer a war chest. 250 million is 3 players. And if you think one of those players is going to be Jude Bellingham, and that might be difficult as well if we don't have Champions League with the options that he's going to have. Jude Bellingham is going to cost 100 million plus. That's nearly half of your war chest. and that's only one player. And if Jude Bellingham comes in, Jude Bellingham is not going to sit at the table at the Last Supper and bless all the apostles and turn us into a winning side. It doesn't work that way because we've got problems all over the pitch. There's a bunch of players there at the moment that aren't performing. We've got a bench that's kind of sad to look at. I mean, I look at some of the benches in the Premier League at the moment down at the lower end and stuff like that, and I'm nearly jealous of those benches with some of the players that are on it. So that'll tell you the struggles that we're in at the moment. But yeah, I think definitely. Do you know the funny thing, Warren? And I'll put it out here now. I think he could end up walking anyway. I think he's getting really agitated and really irritated with the situation. And he's being asked really uncomfortable questions at the moment now that he doesn't necessarily have the answers to. It looks like the rebuilding of the team and the magnitude of that job. I'm not saying it's too much for him, but he might not fancy it. And I'm just wondering if that's the case. And then, to be honest with you, I'm looking out there. I don't even know who we get in. So anyone in the chat, if Jurgen Klopp should, first of all, in the chat, I'll ask you, should Jurgen Klopp go? How do you feel about that? Managers have been sacked for less if you look at the run that we're on and stuff like that. Taking into account the injuries, taking into account a number of things, should Jurgen Klopp go or should he stay? And if he does stay, and if he does go or you feel he should go, either sack or leave, who would you think is the replacement out there to replace him? Who are they going to bring in? Or is he the man who should head up the rebuild of the club because he's the closest to it? If you bring in someone new, are you going to have to flush a lot of players? Are they going to be dealing with players in the squad? Similar to what Potter's had to do at Brighton, where he has a mismatch of players there from a bunch of managers, and he's trying to fit it all into a different kind of theory, and it's really, really difficult trying to get them all to fit. But I honestly think, I think, Warren, to be honest with you, I think it's getting very close now. And I think another couple of bad results. I think if we had a problem this week against Wolves, I think if we have a problem in the Merseyside derby, I think it's going to get even more toxic, and I think people are going to actually start, going down this road of Klopp out potentially, and it's sad times at the moment. It's difficult. The fan base going in on each other and stuff like that. And look, Warren, you guys are the experts of what you've gone through the last few years with the Arsenal fan base and stuff like that. Totally fragmented. Ian, back in the comments. Who's fans of Liverpool and Manchester United, respectively? Yeah, let us know if you're in there. Who do you follow? Henry, we know, is an LFC man. Absolutely, Henry. Warren, we know, is a Gooner. KT could end up at City in the summer. Just watch. I don't think so. Warren. I don't think so. The madness of it, what could happen if the other fella gets off the charges. What about Mendy in the background there at the moment? 6 out of the 8 charges dropped. God Lord, imagine. Crazy times ahead. I don't see KT at Man City. I think Klopp is, or not Klopp, sorry. I think Pep is one of those guys. That's where we have fallen down. You have to have players at the moment that are capable of playing 30 plus games in a season. Or if they're not playing 30 plus games, they have to be available to play them. This potentially carrying of players through your injury room, it just doesn't work anymore. And look, we're the poster boys for it at this stage. So I don't know whether I'd say that or not. Ted, back in. It's Worcester sauce they're talking about. Yeah, absolutely. What do you make of the injuries for both the men and women's teams? Leanne Kiernan, really, Foster, Shanice, Fanda, Saden, plus Virgil, Diaz, Jota, Elliott, plus 3 more. I don't really know what to make of it, Henry. It's just so weird. I don't know whether, I mean, the fact we haven't had a proper medical team in there. We only recently, I think, hired a club doctor, I think, or he's due to come in or something like that. So, and that took us nearly 6 months to get in a club doctor, which is shocking for a team the size of Liverpool. But I'm not too sure. I know he tends to work the boys really hard pre-season. And I think maybe it's just catching up on us. I think maybe the push for that last season, that quadruple and playing every single minute of every single game that was available to us, probably feels like now and those boys a season and a half. And I'm not making excuses for them because performances have been poor around the park. But I just think you can't play that volume of game and that volume of minutes, and also end up disappointed because you only land, and I say only land 2 domestic cups. Like, it's a bad thing, you know what I mean? But we didn't win prize 1 and 2. We won prize 3 and 4. Jeez, I'd love to be still in the FA Cup. This is sick, and this is killing me talking like this, you know. But yeah, I don't think, I don't know. I think there's some players there, I believe, the likes of Jota and stuff like that. Jota's one of them where I think you have to manage Jota, like the way they've been managing Thiago. And considering Thiago's injury record and stuff like that, they're doing a fabulous job on him at the moment. Touch wood, I'm not going to say anything, but at the moment, he seems to be steelier about his game and stuff like that. Doesn't seem to be picking up injuries. And doesn't seem to be shaking tackles either. He seems to be getting stuck in as well. But I think we've just had that left-hand position seems to have, I don't know, a curse on it at the moment. Since Mane left, I think Mane left and he must have went down to Senegal and found one of these witch doctors down in Senegal or something like that to put a curse on that left-hand side or something like that, you know. Only joking for any of our Senegal subscribers out there. But since Mane left, it's been a cursed position, hasn't it, really, you know? But I just think, the way we train, and I think the volume of games, like when you think about it, the volume of games that we've had and how we've played, there hasn't been any downtime for these guys. They've had no downtime. Banged into World Cups, all kinds of different stuff going on and stuff like that. So they've had no downtime. So it's like nearly playing 2 years straight and stuff like that, you know. And I also talk about the way we play, and it's been discussed before. If you talk about Jurgen Klopp's style of training and play and stuff like that, that high press, high energy kind of game. And the talk is out there that really ages players rapidly. Like, you know what I mean? That you're a 28-year-old player, but your career could be done from the mental and physical fatigue of what you're put through, trying to challenge City and stay with City, and how competitive it was, and also in Europe. Um, but I think also the mental and physical fatigue of the heavy training load and the volume of matches, and the mental fatigue of the expectation of that fan base, you know, winning a league after 30 years, and you know how the struggle of what it was, and then trying to get back into the Champions League that season where we hadn't got the defenders and stuff like that, and the Allison goal with the header against West Brom, I think it was, and trying to maintain our Champions League position, and then not refreshing the squad, especially at times, not spending and investing money at times when we were successful, when we won the league, when we won the Champions League. These are the times when we did arguably our worst investing, and not refreshing the squad. And then, you know, the loyalty of Klopp as well, in terms of playing players constantly that are, you know, really poor, and you know the lack of competition there in terms of certain key positions. You look at Salah at the moment, you know, although his stats will tell you that he's scoring goals and getting assists and stuff like that, but the reality is, if you're a Liverpool fan and you're watching week on week, you can see that he's way off the Mo Salah that we know and love, a million miles away from the Mo Salah we know and love. Some of that can be burnout, some of that can be expectation, some of that can be tactics and formation. Our good number 2 there, Pep Linders, who gave away the book of secrets there in the summer, which was scandalous in my eyes, and even more scandalous than our manager wrote the foreword for. But yeah, it's going to be, I can't figure it out. It can't just be all bad luck. You know what I mean? To have this volume of injuries. And look, Chelsea are going through the same thing as well. You look at Chelsea. Chelsea have had a glut of injuries as well. And again, you know, it's playing football at that high level. Look at Chelsea. Chelsea got the Carabao Cup final against us last year, the FA Cup final against us as well. So it's no surprise with the volume of games both teams played, they're having similar problems at an injury level. So a lot of it has to be related to the wear and tear of last season and the volume of games. That's what I believe, because they're quite so similar. So where am I? Where did I get to? There, Henry. Morris, you better hope they don't blow 120 million of that on Bellingham. Yeah. To be honest with you, I don't see Bellingham coming. I just can't see it. If he does, it'll be unbelievable. But that if we're going to blow 120 million on Jude Bellingham, we better have 400 million to spend. not 250 million. And that's the truth. Ted, back in the comments as well, you could have bought 6 Anthony Gordons with that war chest. I think the last thing we need at the moment is Anthony Gordon, and now he shouldn't go. Shame on those players for letting him down. Yeah, I think that's a lot of it as well, but unfortunately, Morris, players don't get sacked. Ted's back in the comments as well. I think Klopp's issue and the whole 7-year course is when he first comes in, he has no loyalty to any player and he picks based on form. But now he's built relationships to players and doesn't drop them. Yeah, that's some of it. And, he's been called out on being too loyal there the last few weeks, and then he reversed it and started dropping players. And I was thinking, has the penny actually dropped? I don't believe in this 7-year curse thing at all. I think what happens is he's gotten very comfortable in there a little bit. And I think what's happened is, if you remember originally for the first few years, if things weren't going the way he wanted, he'd no problem dropping little hints of calling FSG out and stuff like that. And you seen it even there a few weeks ago. He was pictured with the New York hat on him and stuff like that, and all sly little jibes and digs and stuff like that. But the problem for Jurgen Klopp is he's in a very difficult position because he's trying to satisfy the boss, and he's also trying to satisfy the fan base, and he's also trying to satisfy the team. So he's in a catch-22 there. And it's getting really, really uncomfortable for him at the moment, because you can see some of the talk that's coming out at the minute. It's getting a little bit sort of tetchy and a little bit sort of stupid and a little bit contradictory, and it doesn't sound anything like him. And I know he's one for coming out with some silly things at times, but there's an imbalance in the message that he's putting across at times, and that's not like him at all. I don't believe it's the link, the 7-year course like Dortmund and stuff like that. I can't believe that would happen across 2 clubs and stuff like that. With Dortmund, it was kind of different. They were kind of we're kind of in some respects the reverse of Dortmund. We're not a selling club. We're a keeping club. Maybe we should have been a selling club, and then some of these players might be still here. I think we need a clear out in the summer, either with or without FSG. Yeah, we need a clear out. Not only a clear out, but we also need incomings. We need to get players in as well, but we definitely need to clear out. Some of that will just happen, because players will be out of contract and stuff like that. But we really start taking a harsh view on, dare I say, the likes of Curtis Jones and stuff like that. And then big questions have to be asked as well on big players as well. Is it time to cash in on Mo Salah? There's talk of Mo Salah to PSG for 70 million. We know Neymar has been linked maybe with a move to the Premier League. We know that Lionel Messi might be heading to Saudi Arabia like Ronaldo for a huge amount, 305 million a year or something. That's ludicrous money. So does that open up the space then for potentially Salah to go there? We know he was pictured with his agent having dinner with the owners. Does that give you an indication, or was it just generally a meal out and all that kind of thing? And then the question is, who do we get in? We've been linked with Federico Chiesa. Would Federico Chiesa want to come play for Liverpool in the Premier League? I don't know. Or would he fancy maybe a move maybe to London? Would that look more appealing to him, especially with the predicament we're in at the moment? Do we have a strong enough manager that could go out and convince a Federico Chiesa to come and play for Liverpool? Is he the guy that would match in? Is he the guy that we want? Who knows? Should we be keeping Mo Salah and creating more competition? Should we be looking at bringing in a Federico Chiesa even if we have a Mo Salah? These are the questions, if you're going to act like a big club, you need to be a big club if you're going to act like a big club. No point in being a big club acting like a small club. Ian back in the comments as well. Once again, big shout out to Tommy Reid, Sean Bradshaw, Stephen Hogan, Stephen and Darren Kearney, Thomas Reid, who was fans of Liverpool, Manchester United, respectively. Big shout out to all those boys. Hope they're all subbing in. I might have to start charging for these shout outs, will I? Only messing. Henry back in the comments. No more 4-3-3 for Klopp. We are not a pressing team anymore. We haven't got the legs for it. Absolutely, 100%. And this is the problem, Henry. This is what I'm talking about in relation to Klopp. And I hope, chat, this doesn't feel like a Shankly Session show or something like that, but we got to talk about it because it's a hot topic at the moment. But yeah, 4-3-3, I think relies on so many pieces of the puzzle being in tune with each other. And the one thing I say every week, we're fragmented in our approach at the moment from the front to the back. So we don't move forward as a unit and back as a unit the way we used to. And that's how the press works so well. So I think he either needs to put the parts in place to put the press back in there, or he needs to move on from 4-3-3. Now, the suggestion would be with the players that he has acquired, that 4-3-3 is not going to be the way to play anyway, but his own stubbornness is forcing him to do that. And again, that's what we need to talk about. When I talk about we need to have a conversation about Jurgen Klopp, that's really what I'm alluding to. It's more like 130 to 150 million for Jude. Yeah, it's amazing. It's going up 10 million a week or 10 million a month or something like that. It's crazy, but it's I don't know. It's look. I think once it passes 100 million, I think we're out of the conversation anyway. I think if we start dropping that type of money on one player, I think we're in serious trouble, because I think, as you said, Henry, a clear out, and we need in 4, 5, 6 players maybe, which is symptomatic of where we are, because we didn't do it in the previous windows. So it's not like we're going to blow this big huge window. We should have been doing this in the last 4 or 5 windows, and we didn't do it. And now we're paying the price for it. Aim back in, watch and support all football podcasts, yeah, but especially the upper tier and the boys in the chat. Henry, do you think Kelleher will leave in the summer to help fund Bellingham? I have an interesting view on this. I was talking about it the other day, actually. Kelleher leaving. Kelleher, to me, and not just because I'm a Liverpool fan, I believe we probably have one of the best number 1 and 2 combinations in the league in terms of Alisson and Kelleher. I think you could turn around and say that Klopp has been misguided in his use of Kelleher, who was more than capable. I think if there's one position at our club, Henry, that I don't worry about, is when I hear, and I don't want any players injured, obviously, but if I hear that Alisson is out with a knock or an injury and Kelleher's in, I don't worry at all. I don't think the drop off is that much. And I think he's a fabulous number 2, and he would make a fabulous number 1 in a lot of Premier League sides. I think he does need game time, because he's in a real competition there with Bazunu for that number 1 spot for Ireland. Gavin obviously playing weekly for Southampton, but while Kelleher is watching, I thought he would have played him in the FA Cup. Certainly, he was very, very good in the Wolves game, and I think he deserved it. And I think really, in order to satisfy Klopp is going to have to figure out, because I don't know, he's going to go for what, 20 million, maybe 20 million. I don't know how that 20 million helps us in terms of funding Bellingham. Because the problem is, the likelihood is, we're either going to have to promote a number 2 out of the underage, or we're going to have to go out and get a number 2, which is probably going to cost us 15, 20 million anyway, isn't it? Because the thoughts of Adrian stepping in as number 2 absolutely gives me the shivers as it is. So I don't know. It's an interesting dilemma for Quavine, because he has to decide. Maybe he can come to some sort of happy ground with Klopp, where he decides, right, Klopp is going to give him a little bit more game time, stuff like that. And remember, he is the guy to slot in there once Alisson kind of moves on a little bit. But I know there's a number of years there and stuff like that, and your career can go by pretty quick and stuff like that. So maybe the solution maybe is to sell him on for maybe 20 million. And maybe put a good buyback clause in there as well, so we can leverage it at a time maybe where the drop off with Alisson occurs and he has to move on. But that could be a while, because Alisson's a fantastic goalkeeper, But yeah, it's a real dilemma. But I don't see how cashing in on Queevy and Kelleher in any way helps to fund the Jude Bellingham situation, because we're going to have to replace him one way or another, and it's going to cost us money. And I think Klopp could be a yes man. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of that at the moment. Ted, I think it's fair to say you have one of the best 1 and 2s in the league. Sadly, United had that with David De Gea and Romero, but eventually the number 2 wants to get some game time. Yeah, and you could also say as well, Ted, and we know it as well, the grass is not always greener on the other side, but certainly if Quavine has an opportunity now for Ireland at international level as well, to be a part of that kind of renaissance with the youth coming through. And if they do move on Kenny at a time and they have money and bring in a real progressive young manager in there with some positive play and stuff like that, it could be a real opportunity for Queeveen and Gavin Bazunu. It would be great to have both of them fighting it out and stuff like that. Great history of goalkeepers down through the years Ireland has had, so it's no surprise. But he would need to find a club where he's going to become a number one in order to get that game time. Because it's hard to pick him over Gavin if Gavin's playing week in, week out. And Gavin at times he's had his own struggles at Southampton as well. It's been difficult for him this season at times. Southampton had been very poor at times, and to be honest with you, he's been the reason sometimes that Southampton, haven't been beaten by a cricket score, even though you'd see Southampton maybe getting beaten 4-0. And you would think he has had a shocker, but you'll find that he's probably made 3 or 4 world-class saves as well, and it could have been 6-7-0, So that's the interesting one. Warren's back in. I don't think spending 150 million on one player would be a big mistake for Liverpool. I think that money will be better on 2 or would be a big mistake for Liverpool. I think that money will be better on 2 or 3 other quality additions. Yeah, I'm kind of nearly on the same point as you there, Warren. The only thing I think at the moment is, if you're spending 50 million, what does 50 million these days get you for a player? When you think about the money that's being spent in the Premier League on players that I would regard as 20 to 30 million pound players are getting sold for 50, 60, 70, 80 million and stuff like that, So my thinking is, if you want to put quality additions into the squad there, and it's safe to say that even somewhat our scouting talent has gone off the boil as well in terms of our player recruitment somewhat. But to me, 150 million now gets you 2 reasonable players now at 70 or 80 million or 75 million each. Transfer window's gone mad, absolutely crazy and out of control, and needs something done about it because it's just escalating and getting worse. Does Ted live in Craggy Island? Only joking. Yeah, nice one. Love that father, Ted. Great stuff. Imagine how it will be received these days. Good Lord. 50 mil get you Anthony Gordon. Yeah, exactly. That's it. So, do you want to put in? That's the real dilemma there now, isn't it? That sums it up there. Nice one, Ted. Do you want to put a Jude Bellingham in your side for maybe 100 million, 120 million, whatever it's going to be, or do you want to put 2 Anthony Gordons? And you see, that's the dilemma, isn't it? That's the dilemma. Do you want to put in an Enzo Fernandez, or do you want to put in 2 Anthony Gordons? Tillemans is a great shout. We've been trying to get him for a while. You've been trying to get him for a while. I think he's obviously holding out because he wants to get the wheelbarrow of money himself. I think he's a free agent in the summer, as far as I know, and he will probably move on, no doubt, from Leicester. He's turned down any offers they've made, and his footballing career lies elsewhere. But wouldn't that be just like that? Would be just like Liverpool, the way we do business. 120 million for Jude Bellingham and Tillemans on a free. It's just get me going here. Let's talk. What about other transfers? Let's talk. Weston McKennie on loan to Leeds going in there. Should be a very, very good sign. I really like the boy. Had a decent World Cup. Looked the part. Physical and powerful he is. And he'll fit in nicely there with Project USA. All they need is to sign Pulisic off Chelsea and maybe a few others, and then they'll have nearly half the squad will be from the USA international team. Yeah, but should be a good one. Here was an interesting one, Ted. You'll like this one. Manchester United have received 10 proposals to sign Anthony Elanga on loan. PSV Eindhoven are pushing, and also Borussia Dortmund have made inquiries. Let me know your thinking on that, Ted. What do you think of Anthony Elanga? Would you put him out on loan? Might be loan with a potential sale at the end of it or something like that. But certainly he's come back. I don't know if you've seen him in the last few weeks, Ted, when he's come back. Has he come back stronger and more powerful? Looks a bigger physical kind of guy. Looks like he's done a bit of gym time and stuff like that. Certainly looks a stronger boy, all right. Henry back in the comments. Klopp has said no more transfers this window. Absolutely, it's absolutely shocking. But Henry, would it surprise us if two arrived tomorrow? You know what I mean? He doesn't. I find it hard to believe. Sure, we'll have that new signing Arthur Mello. He'll be back this week, and sir, he'll be paraded out like a new signing. Probably lasts about 3 games before his Weetabix legs absolutely fold under the bowl of milk, the usual. And here comes the money. I wish. And Warren and the Arsenal backup goalkeeper. Yeah, the Arsenal backup goalkeeper. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, Spoke about Lindelof. Spoke about Skriniar. Spoke about Fulham. Fulham have entered the talks to land Sander Berg from Sheffield United for 20 million plus add-ons. This was a boy that we were linked with as well. But for some reason, we've been linked with him now, I think, for a couple of windows actually, but haven't gone through and pushed the button on it. But that was the other one that was down there. Spoke about Anthony Elanga, spoke about Weston McKennie. They're the kind of key ones at the moment. Ted, back in the comments here, Elanga needs to go out on loan. He has failed to impress overall, but I think some of it could be due to lack of game time. Isn't getting the chance to learn in game, which is really needed. Yeah, I just noticed, Ted. I don't know. Are you sure? It looks like he had bulked up. I think he's bulked up a little bit, has he? Only so much you can learn and train, and need to be doing it in practice for it to truly sink in. Yeah, absolutely agree. Listen, there's no better training than in-game training. You can practice everything you want and training and stuff like that, but unless you do it on the pitch on match day. But certainly he looks like a bit more physical in the last 2 games where he's come in and stuff like that. He looks like he's filled out a little bit. If you look at him last season and stuff like that, he was kind of easy enough to get off the ball and stuff like that. But certainly he looks like he's building himself up a little bit more physical for it and stuff like that. So, which is good to see that he's acknowledging and doing something about it. But to me, he looked a lot more physical the last 2 times I've seen him. At Leeds for Project USA. Oh God, yeah. Oh yeah, now I know. So yeah, Matt Turner. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, Matt Turner. Yeah, can you imagine more than the whole team nearly being USA? Good Lord. Absolutely. So that's it, folks. The hour and 15 we've done tonight. We normally only do an hour, but we've done an hour and 15. Quality show. Thank you to everyone in the chat. Really appreciate it. Of course, like on the video if you can. Most of you at this stage have subscribed to the channel, but if you haven't subscribed, share it out there and get it up there. Let people know about the channel. Hit the bell notification. We do have shows coming all the time. I will be back tomorrow night with Deadline Day, which should be a bit of fun. Gonna say I might even don the white shirt and the gold tie. Who knows, for the bit of crack as we normally do. Let's see. We also will be back later in the week, Thursday Tier Talk, as always, with Dazzler. We'll be bringing you Beat the Bookie, Premier League preview, latest transfer news, what has happened, get his thoughts on it as well, because he may or may not be on the show tomorrow night. Hopefully he is. I will be back before the weekend with a Wolves preview. So if you know Venus on that one, let's see how that goes. Final comments in here. Ted has bulked up a bit, but it's his runs and positioning that let him down when he gets his chances. Yep, that's good. Maybe a bit more time under Eric Ten Hag, Ted, might sort that out. And Warren's back in. Have you seen James Redmond? Excellent Liverpool YouTuber. Yeah, shout out to James Redmond. Love James. Spoke to James a few times actually when I was over in Liverpool. That man is switched on 100 all of the time. Did some stuff with him as well. Yeah, we ran some of the things on Redman TV when Redman TV used to do the interviews outside the ground. We were on it a few times, stuff like that, and he was switched on for that Man A1 and all, the best baller on the planet and stuff. And geez, little did we know how right he was back then, you know. But James Redmond, he's a Liverpool boy through and through. Great channel out there, loves Liverpool, feeling the pain like the rest of us at the moment, and difficult fan base to deal with at the moment. Aim back in, share and spread the love. Absolutely appreciate it. Warren Dazzler's quality, he's hilarious. Yeah, he's an absolute lunatic, and we love him for it. But very knowledgeable as well. Loves his football and stuff like that. Passionate about his club, Man United. And yeah, love having him on all the time. Me and him have great fun when we're doing shows. Henry back in. Got to go for now. Need my beauty sleep after the weekend chaos. Yeah, absolutely, Henry. Cheers for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Make sure you hit me up with that link as well, Henry, and we'll get in on that and have a go at that hopefully tomorrow night before I jump on to Deadline Day. Share the love, folks. Go over there, subscribe to Henry's channel as well. Support him all the way. Get the subs up as we all do. Share the love across all the channels. you know, we're all fans of football and we all love it. This has been a great show. Really enjoyed bringing it to you. This is your Monday mashup. We review the FA Cup, I should say. We've talked about all the headlines. I've taken on all the comments that have come in the chat, and I've given you my opinion on them. Really appreciate you coming on, Warren. Absolutely appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. Great show. Loved it. We will talk to you tomorrow night for deadline day. Will Liverpool bring someone in, or is Klopp telling the truth? Has he shut the door on this transfer window again? Like gold dust out of wrestling. Hey, shattered dreams, people. Till next time, an absolute pleasure. Cheers, guys.